Frances Perkins was born on April 10, 1880, in Boston, Massachusetts, and grew up in a family that valued education, discipline, and moral responsibility. Her parents emphasized the importance of learning and integrity, instilling in her a belief that individuals had a duty to contribute positively to society. As a young girl, Frances was curious and observant. She listened carefully to stories about history and social conditions, developing an early awareness of inequality and hardship faced by many workers. These impressions would later influence the path she chose in life. At a time when women's roles were often limited, Frances Perkins quietly began shaping a vision of public service that would break barriers.
Perkins attended Mount Holyoke College, where she studied chemistry and physics. During her time there, she encountered ideas about social reform and labor conditions that deeply affected her. One particular experience, hearing first-hand accounts of harsh working environments in factories, left a lasting impression. Determined to understand these issues more deeply, she pursued further studies in economics and sociology. She moved to Chicago and later to New York, where she worked in settlement houses, assisting immigrant communities and observing the realities of urban poverty. These experiences transformed her perspective. She saw clearly how unsafe working conditions, long hours, and low wages affected millions of people. Perkins decided to dedicate her life to improving these conditions.
In 1911, a tragic event in New York City would define Frances Perkins' mission. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire broke out in a garment factory, trapping workers inside due to locked doors and inadequate safety measures. Many workers, unable to escape, lost their lives. Perkins witnessed the aftermath of the disaster. The images and stories stayed with her forever. She later described it as the moment she knew her life's work would be to fight for safer workplaces and stronger protections for workers. From that day forward, she committed herself fully to labor reform.
Frances Perkins began working with organizations and government bodies focused on labor conditions. She investigated factories, documented unsafe practices, and advocated for regulations that would protect workers. Her work gained recognition, and she was appointed to positions within New York state government. There, she collaborated with reform-minded leaders to introduce laws aimed at improving workplace safety, limiting working hours, and protecting women and children in the workforce. Her approach combined careful research with strong advocacy. She believed that lasting change required both understanding problems and taking decisive action.
In 1933, during the Great Depression, President Franklin D. Roosevelt appointed Frances Perkins as the United States Secretary of Labor. She became the first woman ever to serve in a U.S. presidential cabinet. The country was facing severe economic hardship. Millions of people were unemployed, and many families struggled to meet basic needs. Perkins stepped into her role at a time when leadership and reform were urgently needed. She brought with her years of experience and a clear vision for improving workers' lives.
As Secretary of Labor, Frances Perkins played a key role in developing policies that would transform American society. She helped shape major initiatives designed to support workers, stabilize the economy, and provide security for families. One of her most significant contributions was her involvement in creating the Social Security system. This program provided financial support for older adults, unemployed individuals, and vulnerable populations. She also supported labor standards that addressed working hours, wages, and conditions. Her work helped establish protections that many people would come to rely on for generations.
Throughout the challenges of the Great Depression, Perkins remained a steady and pragmatic leader. She worked behind the scenes, negotiating with lawmakers, advocating for policies, and ensuring that workers' needs were represented in national discussions. Her leadership style was thoughtful and persistent rather than dramatic. She believed in building consensus and making practical progress, even in difficult political environments. Despite facing criticism and resistance, she continued pursuing reforms she believed were essential.
After many years in government, Frances Perkins continued contributing through teaching, writing, and advising on labor and social issues. She shared her experiences with future generations, emphasizing the importance of public service and responsibility. Her work had helped reshape the relationship between government and workers, establishing principles of protection and fairness that remain influential.
Frances Perkins passed away on May 14, 1965. By then, her contributions had left a lasting mark on American society. Programs and policies she helped create continued supporting millions of people. She is remembered as a pioneer who broke barriers and worked tirelessly to improve the lives of others.
Frances Perkins' story is one of determination, compassion, and quiet strength. From witnessing tragedy to shaping national policy, she transformed her sense of justice into meaningful action. Her legacy lives on in the protections and systems that continue to support workers and families. She showed that leadership is not always about visibility or recognition. Sometimes it is about persistence, purpose, and the willingness to stand for what is right. And through her work, Frances Perkins helped build a foundation for fairness that continues to shape lives today.